Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Welcome on into the penultimate round of SSRL's Division 2. I've forgotten to turn on my webcam, so unfortunately you will just have to live without that. But we'll go straight in to the calendar. It is, of course, coming to the end of the season. We are now at the penultimate round here in Miami. We had Division 1 last night where Herman took his win and is now looking like he is the favourite to take the Division 1 title going into next week. But of course, we have a three-way battle here, and Stake has a chance to take the title tonight if he can outscore Quincy and Energetic. Quincy by 12 points, Energetic by 10. He could be champion going into tonight. But anyway, Quincy and Energetic would then just be left to scrap it out for second, but I am sure their thoughts are going to be at the front of the field, but they are your top three, separated by 18 points in total. Then Race Chase, Moksha and Trugster in a battle for fourth, with Salvi in a battle of his own at the moment. Toby, Tabran and ADS in their own little battle. Tark and Gino could get involved if he got a good result tonight. Then it's Skid Solo, Kavaksha and Quan, with Certibo, Matt the Tank, Devsy and Falcor Warrior, Red Dog and Bruiser, rounding out your full-time drivers, with your reserves being Rolly, Danger David, Bavish, Cloud San, and Vincenzo. Your constructor standings are as tight could be. 13 points between Ferrari and Mercedes, with Ferrari and Aston being separated by 28 points, but with the amount of points available on offer throughout the evening, well, it could go any which way. Then it's Williams and Red Bull, unlikely to get involved in all of that. They could at least hope for third if results go their way, but that is a huge if. And then it's Racing Bulls, Haas, McLaren, Alpine, and Kick Sauber, unlikely to get off the bottom of the table there, rounding out your 10 constructors. Going into the race tonight, we are now just getting ready to get things started, but first and foremost, we must introduce the favourite for the Division 1 title, the World of Tanks expert, and of course, F1 My Team specialist, Herman the German. How are you doing? How have the last 24 hours been?
Wonderful evening to you out there, and obviously to you as well, Dave. Yeah, not too bad. Obviously, a very surprising win, I have to say the least, once again inside of the season. I'm comfortable to be in this position, but I'm also very uncomfortable with the competition I still have left to be beaten in 6 days' time. So looking forward to see what the Division 2 can produce. If they watched the race yesterday, we were in a dry race. We will be in a full qualifying, and that will be in interconditions at all the time. And there's obviously one interesting fact about the strategy: 2 stops against 1 stop, and we were just that close to David making it onto the top third of the podium. But Bevish with a very hefty defense against him, and later on the final lap causing a collision maybe. Still under investigation by the stewards. We will update you on that maybe next week. Let's see. And we are now into Q1, and that means I will start off with our extended prediction game for today. We have 16 drivers, meaning 1 will be eliminated in the session. Who do you think that is going to be on your end, Dave?
Well, based on early evidence, it's Certibo. He just went all the way wide into turn number 6 there, and he really couldn't even make the corner for turn 7. So he is already my prediction to go early on in this session. So that's my prediction, Herman. What about you?
I'm going to be going for Bruiser. I think whatever he is currently struggling with has not stopped to continue. So, currently has not set a lap time. Last night's qualifying session was filling with Certibo in the Haas team. We are also missing the complete Kick Sauber team of Zefsi and Falcoria. No reserve driver filling that in, as well as an additional Haas and an Alpine. So I'm gonna pick Bruiser for this one, but the next session is gonna be way more interesting with the grid we have for tonight. And obviously there were some shake-ups yesterday as well. I wasn't very familiar with the game Shaggy had, despite his internet connection getting the better of him. I think he was very surprisingly fast, and I'm surprised to see how someone that was not very prominent with his attendances just suddenly goes to such a tricky track that has continued to do so with even lower wings inside of this year's game to make that traction zone out of turn 1 into 3 and out of 17 the most prominent overtaking opportunity on this track. Very tricky to drive. And this part here where currently Seibo is trying to set the first lap time in this Q1 session, where you just eat that rear right tire a lot, and that is one of the main factors to keep an eye on if you try and actually commit to the one stop, saving that rear right, because it is taking a beating inside of that what I call the reversed turn 11 of Paul Ricard. Very similar feel to the corner as a driver. Don't know if you've experienced Miami Autodrome or Paul Ricard yourself in any of the racing games you've been driven, but they indeed feel very, very much the same, I would say.
I actually have, and I do somewhat agree with you there, because, like, you know, it's kind of got, like, you know, we're looking at turns, let's see, 13, 14, and 15 right there, and it's got, like, kind of the same pattern to it, like you would see at Paul Ricard, those funny stripes which are meant to slow the car down, but don't really do a whole lot. But either way, I do see what you're talking about at the moment, as Al Suribo will be first across the line. We've been watching him from his out lap to now. It's the end of his flying lap. Very much off the pace here and very squiggly going through turn 17 there. So a lot to work. Well, again, we've always kind of said a lot to work on for Suribo. He's been here a few seasons now, and across the line he comes. That's 1:46.3. That's not really representative for some of the faster times. We're in the 1:35s there as Red Dog now 3 seconds faster, 1:43.8. But expect the times to drop. Pleasant Snake still in the pits as of right now, but we do. Well, I personally expect Suribo to go, but that honour has been given to Bruiser there, who is in 4th. And do you know what? That would be my second favourite, as Salvi goes in to pole position. But this is all early stages for the time being. Of course, we'll only say goodbye to one of the competitors, as we are doing the full qualifying session tonight. So, of course, we will say goodbye from 16, what would be 16th to 20th, but we'll just say goodbye to 16th. And then, of course, qualifying 2 will be 11th. To 15th, and then of course the top 10 shootout for qualifying 3, but we'll predict those as the evening goes on. Truck's the fastest at the moment with a 1:39, the first driver to break into the 1:30s, times are starting to fly in at the moment. But Herman, what was kind of the secret to getting around Miami in this wet condition?
Obviously, when you predict most of these races have dry weather conditions for the race, and obviously there are the points you need to be collecting as Energetic goes over the line and is into second position for now. We have very low wings on this configuration this year with the evolution of the floor of these ground effect cars in 2025. You have more rear grip, and that means most of the downforce is created by the rear on its own, depending on how much you set up the right eye. After that, top speed is by lowering the rear wing, and that makes it very tricky to drive in the wet conditions. And we experienced that very heavily just a couple of weeks back in Vegas, where most of them would run in 0 on the rear, and that makes it very slippery, but also very fun at stages. For this one, most important thing is that there's like a technique that has been implemented in 2024, and that is the wheel flick. So you have rather than a smooth input to your wheel, just kind of have a quick flick. You can compare to using on a mouse maybe when you try to flick in a video game that is predominantly a shooter. You have a very quick flick of the wheel to have a sharper turn in angle with just a tiny amount of contact patch on the tires, and the car just moves in basically. The rear is enough to stabilize, and most of that is actually required on this track, especially the first S section basically before the end of the first sector. The part that is currently approached by Salvi is currently on an invalidated lap at this section before the stadium, I would say, before we go under the bridge of the highway, is also very prominent to that. And obviously, most of the time it's just blasting ES on the straights, keeping it off in the corners because you need to minimize rear spin. And after that, braking. Most of it is braking. Turn 1, turn 17 once again, turn 12 as well. You just need to get a bit of a feel for what brake bias, what braking points you want to pick, and yeah, the infamous upshift, early upshift, short shift is also very much needed to stabilize traction. So tricky in the dry, tricky in the wet. I haven't done it in full wet conditions, but I can imagine it's slippery as well. So yeah, most of it comes from staying on track as we run obviously strict track limits to the white line. So yeah, if you can make use of the wheel flicking tactic. If not, make sure that you maximize exits on this track at most, because top speed is not that important in the wet. You just blast your ERS, and Quincy is retired because he thinks it's through. Currently 16th Tark Engineers on a lap, and I think there was maybe a lack of information, maybe, or a lack of remembering from you yesterday. I found that very funny when you crashed out a bit on me retiring as Moksha goes first.
I was just about to bring that up. I was literally just like,
please defend yourself.
So listen, people forget things. People are human. And I just simply forgot that we were running a full qualifying session. It's not like I took a great look at the calendar or anything where it says full qualifying round 11 Miami. Listen, things happened. And just while I'm being human for 2 seconds, I just want to let you know that Bruiser is ahead of Sir Ibo.
That is correct, and Takengino is ahead of both of them because he just got a huge slipstream of energetic to go into third and be safe for what is Q1, because there will be only one driver eliminated, and that is currently the World Drivers' Championship leader in Pleasant Snake. No lap time has been set. Obviously, the track gets better the further the session is going, and we will continue to see that throughout Q2 and 3. And there's one hint I want to give. Actually, the game thinks for most of these qualified sessions, even the short ones, that the track evolution is hard enough or like fast enough for you to consider dry tires in Q3, because he is not sure if dries or inters are the faster ones. And that was particularly interesting to see, because the rear tires on an outlap on the inters even are overheating. So there's like little overheating problems in this game, even if you're like, I don't know, Qatar's like easily 110 to something degrees on the rears. But yeah, for Miami on the rear right, if you don't like compromise that a bit with the tire pressures, you're gonna see warm tires very soon, and then you kind of need a double cool to make sure they are in check. But I don't think that's really troublesome for Q1 or Q2 inside the first 2 sessions. So, but yeah, there is track evolution. We've discussed it at length, and over these 3 sessions, there is even some involvement in like let's say drier line, in the sense that there is the game thinks there is time for some dries if you want to fancy it. I'm pretty sure we're not gonna see this as Ilbo goes over the line and does not improve. Maybe he's starting his lap now. Late use of ERS. Let's see if he can make sure that he is into the next session, as Traxxer goes to top and beats Race Chase by 6/10. But that is currently none of our business, in the sense that it's not relevant to what is happening at the bottom. And Pleasant Snake has decided to venture out onto the track for the first time inside of this qualifying segment.
Pleasant Snake has the opportunity to take the championship tonight. What he needs to do is outscore Quincy by 12 points, but must also outscore Energetic by 10 points or more for both drivers. So, just to remind you, Quincy, 12 points tonight. We'll keep you all updated on that. And then, of course, Energetic, 10 points. So, all or nothing for Pleasant Snake. He can take it to the next round if he needs to, but he just might want to focus on outscoring his opponents. He's got to just find 15th place or better, and he really just needs to be in the 140s, and he's safe. I do not see Sir Ibo or even Bruiser making those improvements. That's just based on their pace throughout the season. They have been quite regularly at the bottom of the pack, which is, of course, not where you want to be. I don't think anybody really likes being at the back of the pack, but of course it also depends on what kind of priorities you have in life as well. Trust me, I can relate. But let's go on board with pleasant stake, because we are about to see a lap that is oh so important to get his evening off onto the right start. Turn 1 now, bit of a flick from the rear end there, but the car turns in okay. But in these wet conditions, you have to be oh so careful, and I would try and avoid the curbs if I was Snake, but it looks like he's used them to help him more than hinder him. Now we go through here, go left very quickly, then right very quickly, but this is really, really fast in the dry, but very easy to understeer if you've got your setup wrong. Now through here, go wider than you think you need to, because now you need to meet the apex for turn 7. Now through to turn 8 here, that small kink. Now this would usually be a DRS straight, but because we're in wet conditions, not activated for safety. So it is all about how hard you're putting down your right foot and how low your wings are. You would approach speeds of over 200 miles per hour usually, and now brake it just before the 100 meter, nearly losing the rear end as he went through turn 11. Now the bend of turn 12 goes on forever at such a slow speed, but now you can get back on the para for only a brief few moments, because now you have this awkward chicane of 14 and 15 and then 16 a few moments after. The corners just fly at you thick and fast in sector 3, or sector 2 I should say. Now we begin sector 3. He's gone purple through there, so he's definitely going quick compared to his own personal best, which he hasn't actually set at the moment. But now braking here, you have to brake it around the 150 meter board there as you approach turn 17. Then it's just basically foot to the floor if you can. 17, oh goodness me, 18, then it's 19, and now past the Miami Dolphins Hard Rock Stadium, and he goes fastest, which is where he starts the championship tonight, and that very much sets the tone, doesn't it, Herman?
Yeah, good lap, but also most of the drivers have not completed a lap in the top 5 for the last couple of minutes. So yeah, that's the track evolution. I would like to remind you of the statement you just made. You don't see any major improvements on the guys at the bottom. Ibo has improved by 3 seconds and is in 13th. So suck that.
I was just hoping you wouldn't see that, because I saw that just a few moments afterwards, and I was just like,
watching the lap. And he made so many great things come true.
For you, anyway. At the moment, with Jugster also matched the time as he just has a bit of a moment through turn number 7 as of right now. But at the moment, your top 3 being Pleasant Snake, Drugster, Moksha, top 5 rounded up by Race Chase and Tark and Gino. But it does look like the bottom of the field is going to be a lot tighter than we initially thought. But then Salvi says nope and goes up into the top 5. So now the knockout, realistically, you would say, is between Suribo, Skid Solo and Bruiser, as there's 1.7 seconds separating them. But can Bruiser actually get on the battery? Something that me and Herman have noticed over the past couple of weeks is that Bruiser doesn't seem to be using the battery. But oh my goodness me, as Bruiser understeers very dramatically into turn 11 through turn 12. There is some front wing damage to the Racing Bulls driver, and with how many ever minutes we've got to go, I don't think he's got enough time. I think we're going to be saying goodbye to Bruiser. So Herman's prediction of Bruiser being knocked out, I think, is going to come true. Yeah, 1 minute 45. He's not got enough time. He's done. Well, Herman, your prediction has come true. You were correct. We will be saying goodbye to Bruiser at the end of qualifying 1.
Yeah, I usually, as I'm not the one streaming, I usually have to, or I usually tend to have all the information open. So that usually includes telemetry. He's trying to continue, because if he had a big mistake, he can still salvage that, but front wing damage is going to be troublesome. I wasn't sure why he pushed on the outlap. There was like hot lap mode enabled, and he seemed to be going for these braking zones particularly hard. So that was odd on an outlap. So yeah, he ruined that. But let's see if there were more and more trouble moments for him. But yeah, that's going to be tough with that wing damage.
So I actually think that was a glitch there, because that wasn't an outlap. He went from a 144 to a 143. So the game got that wrong. That's an improvement. Because
That is correct.
Yeah, I'm a bit confused by that one, not gonna lie. So he won't have time for another flyer. A Skid Solo, he invalidates the time. So I think that's actually going to be it.
that is like only 7,000ths of a second
Oh,
because of that improvement. He was a second down. That was like a 44.710, and now he's gonna miss out by 7,000ths. Yeah, skid solo is invalidated. So let's see what. Yeah, that would be incredible if you can find more time on that wing damage. Let's see. But that's very. He's up. Oh my god, he's up.
oh, here we go. And he's using his battery, Herman. He's using his battery. He's unlocked the key to pace here in Miami. This is one of the most exciting qualifying laps I've ever had the pleasure of commentating on. But he's far too late on the brakes. He's messed up. 17. It's over, Herman. He is knocked out.
Yeah, some might say it's over because we're in the United States.
Ugh.
Damn it, Bruiser! You were so close to greatness. You were this close.
Bruiser has now Bruiser has now just become our MVP. Could he actually make up some positions on the race? Will have to work on his braking just a little bit. Missed that 150-meter board, aimed for the 100, but I don't think he's actually used to deploying the battery on the straights here. So I think he's actually going to have to do some adjusting. So I really hope that doesn't come back to bite anybody in an unfair manner. But either way, I think Bruiser might be one to look out for. He might make his way up the field, which I can't believe I'm saying. But you never know. Anyway, qualifying one has concluded. Herman's prediction comes true. And now, well, we've got to decide who's going to be 11th, 15th. And that's where things are going to get a little harder. Obviously, two drivers retired early, Energetic and Quincy. They have to make it through. There's no kind of choice in that. If they want this championship to continue into the Mystery Grand Prix next week, they've got to make it through. So those three are the three championship elects, my favourites to go through by far and away. My bottom five, though, here we go. I'm going to say Suribo and Skid Solo. I'm going to say Jamaican Jam as well. And honestly, I think, to be honest, how that's lined up is how I'm going to say it. Maybe just leave out ADS, replace that with Tabran. Yeah, I'm going to say that. So that is, just to go through that, as we say goodbye to Bruiser on that one. So he's 16th. He goes no further forward. So it's going to be Skid Solo, Suribo, Jamaican Jam. I'm going to say, actually, Toby and Tabran to go out in qualifying 2. There you go. That's my 5.
Oh, I want them in position, actually.
Okay, from 15th to 11th. So 15th, Skid Solo. 14th, Ibo. 13th, Jamaican Jam. 11th, I'm going to say... No, 12th, I'm going to say Tabran. And then 11th is Toby. There you go.
Okay. Yeah, because you can score 2 on right position and 1 on correct driver. So that's obviously more interesting. I'm going to go... Ibo 15. I think Skid Solo has way more in his lap. And... yeah, that final one didn't come through, and I think that lap he said was like very early as well. So, if anything, Iwo needs to watch out for that position. So Skid to 14th, Jamaican Jam, I agree, 13th. I would say ADS 12th, and I'm gonna say that someone will have a bad one, and I'm gonna think that Tarkangino gets knocked out as well. So. The Mercedes team that are still in a hunt for the Constructors' World Championship against Ferrari will suffer a driver in Q2. ADS missed the last 2 races, so they caught up, especially in Abu Dhabi. Mercedes scored more by 1, and then Qatar they scored way more. And yeah, now let's see where they can be on a very different track. And we are going to see some drivers out already, including Quincy, Serbo, and both of the McLarens. One in the pit lane that is currently T-Brand, so Randog is out on the track already, as well as race trace for the V-Carbs. And we have also a Williams, yeah, that's Jamaican Jam, not Moksha. So a couple of drivers are trying to, yeah, probably use the Inter they used in Q1. Tire saving is interesting, especially since we have this race set to dynamic. If you have a wet race here, you will only have your 3 qualifying Inters and 1 additional Inter available to you. So a total of 4 sets. If you go through to Q3 on 2 sets and you have 2 for the last one, you might be better off than the guys who are fighting for trying to make it into Q3 and then, yeah, obviously be be able to have something left in their pocket to do on strategy, especially with how high tire wear can be if you overdo the rears and especially rear tire pressures, because that is as per usual increasing your sliding is eating more of your grip, and then you are not really looking great to do the preferred strategy rather than having to do the additional one. And for most of the last couple of games, we've seen mostly one stops on inters, but there were times where certain tracks had like 2 stop required at least, and sometimes, as I've shown to SSRL Season 6 Division 2 in Australia, you don't need to stop. So, happy days!
As we see Quincy now going through turns 7 and 8, this is a crucial qualifying session. He needs to get through. Remember last night, the fastest time in qualifying 1 didn't make it out of qualifying 2. That honor went to Truckster, or dishonor, depending on how you look at it. Truckster is now in a very, very important fight for what is P4 there, but Quincy going very wide at turn 11, missing his braking point, but he has more than enough time to get himself all sorted out and go for another lap. He might abandon this one just to recharge the ERS and just getting everything back in order, but it looks like he's still going for it as we're observing him through 14, 15 and 16. Caution in sector 2 for a slow moving vehicle, but that is of no problem at all. And I do think, Quincy might be on the recharge there. In fact, yes, he is. So he's abandoned that lap. So that won't be a representative. So the next one behind him is actually trying to figure that out there. That could be one of the Williams or a Alpine there. That is Sir Ibo getting out of the way after he invalidated his time. So that means Jamaican Jam is currently going to be first to the line to set a more representative time as well. Quincy with a 138 there. Oh no, that's the McLaren of Red Dog going a bit too close to the rear of the Williams there. I don't know if he anticipated how early the Williams would break there of Jamaican Jam, and as Jamaican Jam goes to the line right now, well, that's not actually as representative as I thought it would be. That's a 140.7 with Red Dog not too far behind there, getting a 139, but then where I expected everyone to be, that's Race Chase with a 136.864. So it looks like, I would say, that Pleasant Snake's going to be within the 134s towards the end of this session. He beat everybody by over a second in qualifying. Well, no, it was Moksha, sorry. Moksha was fastest there. So Moksha might want to just be careful and just remember that Truckster said goodbye in qualifying 2 as Truckster goes up into a 135. So there we go. He should be okay with that time. Might just want to get a few more tenths there just because of track evolution, as we've already explained today and over yesterday's qualifying sessions, I'm sure you remember. And, at the moment, people are starting to set their first times already. A total of 8 drivers have done their laps. We're just waiting for Toby now to come to the line now, and then it'll be one of the Mercedes. We think that'll be Tarkan Gino. He'll come to the line and will be the first of the pack to set their flying laps. So it should be about 11 drivers. Here we go. Toby up into 6th place. Tarkan Gino not too far behind, hoping to have qualifying 3 as when we get to the end of this, and that is a very good start. 6th place for the Mercedes of Tarkan Gino. Sir Ibo still on a flyer coming to the line.
Yeah, it didn't look too bad. I was watching that for now, but there is still lots and lots of time to be found. I think on Saturday Quincy mentioned to me that that was after yesterday's quick quali session we usually have before the races, that he can do 35.0, so that would be 2/10 faster than yesterday's pole time. Let's see if that comes to reality, if that is actually something Snake will or can achieve inside of the Q3 later, because the best track conditions will be in that final session we will have later. But for now, the next 9 minutes will determine if the top one of the top no, 2 of the top 3 drivers will make it through or not, because they're currently in the bottom with Snake not out on the track. But the Dutch driver of Energetic in a Mercedes, one of them actually, since we both have left inside of the qualifying session, none of them eliminated, but I predicted one of them to go, and that is currently 6th place Tarkan Gino, and Energetic is coming up to that second sector line which is somewhat confusing after one of the slots pass on the track. Really doesn't tell you much if someone is driving that particular sector very, very efficiently. And there's another DRS boosting by the teammates in Mercedes in 2 consecutive sessions. That is some teamwork they need to show and to deliver to make sure they can be crowned the World Constructors champions, as Energetic is over the line to go into second position, 3010s off Truckster. But I would say that is, based on the times we've seen so far, comfortably through. Some drivers need currently 3 to 4 seconds worth of improvement, which is not out of the question, because 7 minutes of track evolution is still a great value in terms of grip, but still a steep mountain to climb for some of them. So I think Energetic is good to go, and I would say next slipstream goes to Chuck and Gino because his 38.6 is not safe. And we will going to be seeing ADS soon as well, trying to go for that first lap time. And then, if that is completed within the track limits, Pleasant Lake will be once again bottom of the field. But we have seen before, I think his strategy is to go late to have the best track conditions, and also he's probably going to use the used inter of what we've just seen concluded of Q1. And more drivers are, I think, probably going to be using that used tire to get some more feel of the car. And there's currently, I don't think, anyone prominent. Toby's over the line, improved by nearly 9/10, goes into what is currently 8th position on a 38.333. So that is a very good lap time, and he has continued to improve his performance over the season, and has very good points collected in the last couple of races. Is currently closing on what is my current eye on the Best of the Rest championship, that is led by Salvi on 72 points compared to Toby's 56. But Toby has not yet, or is yet to finish inside of the top 5 for once. Salvi did that, if you remember, and I'm sure remembering is not your best skills. Salvi finished in the top 5 inside of the first race in Baku, and that is still some points, but there's still 2 very good races Toby can recover to. And let's see what ADS has to put on the timing sheets in a couple of moments time. Currently approaching the end of the second sector, Ferrari look to extend that Constructors World Championship lead over Mercedes here tonight.
I'm just going to say, Herman, try moving to the US and having a driving test at the same time. Let's see how much you remember in the previous races that happened. I would love for you to go through all of that. But anyway, at the moment, I am watching ADS as Herman transitions into that segment of qualifying. At the moment, this is important for the Constructors' Championship. Remember, Ferrari coming into tonight with a lead over Mercedes. That is 13 points, so they would love for both of their drivers to get in, and there we go. ADS into 7th place there. Wouldn't call that safe as by any means of the stretch there, as there was Toby in the background starting another lap here. We have Drugster as well, who's looking very safe at the top, but we also have Pleasant Snake on an out lap. He left his flying lap in qualifying 1, late but great, Energetic to the top of the timing boards there. So Quincy, and, well, then Quincy just comes in a moments later, says 1:35.7, but Pleasant Snake will be the one everybody is eyeing up. Just to give you an idea of how the points separate, remember, if you've just joined us, well, Snake has a chance to take the championship tonight, must outscore Quincy by 12 or more points, Energetic NL by 10 or more points. So that is the situation coming into tonight. Neither one of those drivers, being Energetic or Quincy, want to finish behind Pleasant Snake. Pleasant Snake has started a lap, but I really want to see what Drugster is up to. He just went down to 3rd, but he's currently on a flyer as of right now, approaching the final turn. I actually think this is not going to be representative. In fact, no, it is not. So we'll go straight to the Aston Martin. The championship leads are coming into tonight. He left it late to take a qualifying time in qualifying 1. He's done the exact same in qualifying 2. Has waited for the track to evolve to its best point, and now he is just putting down the anchors and has activated his rocket ship, and he is just going down the very long straight between turn 8 to turn 11. He will be approaching that heavy braking point in a matter of moments. Here we go at just past the 150-meter board there. Very, very big slide of understeer there, so he's struggling with that turn. Maybe that will sort of get itself even in the dry, and maybe that's what the car is more set up for. But now it's through the slow sections of turn 14, 15, then 16. Now get on the gas pedal again, go down the straight all the way down to turn 17. Again, this would usually be a DRS zone, but of course it's not an effect in this wet weather. Now Moksha has just retired. He does not need to improve, as is with Quincy. He does not feel that anybody can match that time. But, of course, that's to get him through to qualifying 3, not the overall position. And now Pleasant Snake in the final corner goes through turn 17 rather nicely there. Now 18, 19, and we're about to see the time. It's not fastest, but that is only because we are not in qualifying 3. He needed to set that time just to be safe, and I think he'll be okay. So now we turn our attention to who's going to be knocked out. Tarkin Gino is about to start a lap. Jamaican Jam has just started his lap as well.
Skitzol is about to finish one.
Here we go. Herman, take it away.
Yeah, 7/10 improvement after the first two sectors. Didn't look too shabby, but there's like still a significant gap to what is currently the safe spot of P10 with Salvi out of the final corner, just like you watched Pleasant Snake a couple of moments ago. The Aston Martin is currently in 14th. He stays in 14th. Lost a lot of lap time on that final part of the racetrack, especially turn 17 to 19. So only 3/10 at the end. And yeah, he will stay out of the Servo because he's not out on track, and the time that is left is not enough to set a lap time. So I think 14, 15 are locked in. So let's see if Rendork is about to complete his lap as well. He's on that final straight. He's 1.2 seconds up. That would mean a huge improvement. Locks up the front left, but can make it stop and turn in. For turn 17, big slide out of the final two corners, and now over the line for the McLaren driver. Is he good for Q3? No! He missed by 3/10, and Salvi currently, that is in the pit lane, is safe. Tarkin Gino next. Is there another slipstream? Oh yes, you bet there's a Mercedes slipstream in your area for tonight, because there's another swapperino between Energetic and Tarkin Gino, as he has been paid back now his favor from early in the session. We have watched these two go at it for some additional top speed at the end of the lap once again. And let's see if Tarkin Gino can make that jump. He needs 6/10 of an improvement, and he does find that 1.1 seconds to the lap time. That was currently going into what is now P11 for Salvi. Jamaican Jam still on a lap. Let's see what the first split says. Is he slower? Is he faster? He's down by 8/10. Let's see if he wants to complete that lap. 1 second is going to be tough, but if there's been a big mistake, for example, in turn 17, he might recover that. I'm just going to keep him watching, yeah?
Yeah, I think he's just come off a flying lap. That's why he's really down, so he's not going to improve. He's out.
And Salvi is a very big surprise, I have to say.
I think has Skid Solo just come off a flying lap? Yes, he has, so he's not going any further forward as well. He somehow got another one in there. So yeah, no, we're just waiting for the top. Actually, it's the top 4 completing the lap. So it's from 2nd, 3rd, and 4th here. Energetic, is he going to be first across the line? He's going to be one of the first across the line, but Race Chase is certainly further down the road. Jamaican Jam, obviously, just come off a lap there. He cannot improve. So 13th will be where he starts tomorrow. Yeah, down a second by in Sector 3, and yeah, he abandons that lap. So we're just really waiting for the rest of the field, and well, Race Chase is down by a long way, so he's not going to improve on that either. Tarkin Gino through to qualifying 3. He was mentioning how difficult that was going to be, but he's gone and done it. Well done. Both Mercedes through into qualifying 3, both Ferraris both into qualifying 3, but only one Aston Martin into qualifying 3, and that's not what the Aston Martin team would have wanted from that. So they are on the back foot going into the race, but otherwise your top 10 are all locked in for one final 12-minute session of qualifying. It's going to be exciting, and I guess we go back to our little prediction game, Herman.
Yeah. I'm currently leading, so I'm giving you the opportunity to get some points back by going first. So I'm gonna um I'm gonna start at the third place here. We're gonna do top 3 for qualifying now. So I'm thinking currently that I don't know if that was Snake just having a bad lap, but I think he usually can pull something through. So I think I'm staying with my initial statement pre-broadcast that Snake takes pole, but Quincy the win. And we have our bottom 5 here once again on the screen for you. Snake first, I'm gonna say Quincy second in quali, and I'm gonna say Truckster third.
Okay, I think I'm also honestly gonna say Pleasant. I'm gonna say Trugster first, Energetic second, and Trugster third.
Truckster first and third?
Damn it. I nearly swore then. So what did I say? Trugster first, Pleasant. Did I say Snake second?
No, Energetic.
Energetic second. I'll say Snake third. There we go. Final answer.
By the way, why are you doing a driver's test for? Are you doing it for the US? In the UK?
What
That
the?
doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. I'm doing it. I'm doing the driving test in the UK. I didn't think you would be too focused on that, to be honest. So.
Yeah, I was surprised you would like put that in terms of like additional stress onto you before moving. But...
Well, hey ho. At least I'll have. At least it will trans. Well, I may transfer into the US. I don't know.
And streaming and working and living. Damn it.
Yeah, I have it. I have a lot going on. But anyway, let's get enough about me. We are now in qualifying 3, so we have our predictions for the top 3. But will that come to fruition? Of course, Snake is always favourite to take pole position. He has the most pole positions of anybody. Just to count them up for you: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 poles. And guess what? Some of those were converted into win. You have to go to round 2. That's where he converted the first one. Then round 4. Then round 5. 3 already. And then, of course, last week as well. So 4 conversions from pole to the win. And you would say there has to be a 5th one in there somewhere. Of course, the Mystery Grand Prix, which we now know how that is going to work. So what's going to happen next week on stream? I will tell you, spin the wheel, quite literally, on stream, and that will be the Mystery Grand Prix. So you're probably going to find out literally minutes before the session is opened up, and then we will take it from there. Of course, I will have more information for you closer to the time, but of course, the Mystery Grand Prix is going to be a mystery up until the final hour. Of course, just to remind you, we always get started at about 7:30 p.m. GMT right here on this Twitch channel, and next week will be one final time. My last time commentating for SSRL. Full-time commentator, of course. The reins will be handed over. We will announce that next week for you. We'll try and get the guy in before we end the stream for Division 1 next week. But anyway, currently moving on to current affairs. ADS is the first out on track. He'll be starting his flying lap in a couple of moments time. Just needs to get down the back straight. Has invalidated his out lap. Doesn't matter though, that won't carry on into the flying lap, as of course the turn 17 heavy braking a corner, and then we'll get this underway. But of course, only 12 minutes to set the best time, and then we will see who starts from 1st to 10th and take this flying lap away as ADS gets us started.
Yeah, we are approaching turn 1 on what is one of the 3 DRS zones we have in the dry conditions. As this is not really an overtaking opportunity, so lots and lots of ERS saving in the dry yesterday. Then you need to navigate these high curbs at the start of the lap, especially coming out of the pit lane. Very tricky to do so on the alternative line. Then these revamped curbs for this right-hand side turn going into what is turn 6 here, and then we are approaching this long, very long and very enduring corner to the right rear tire, as we are now onto the first main straight. What is one of the best overtaking opportunities. It's kind of twisted and twined sometimes. If you're not paying enough attention, you can sometimes bump a wheel on the straight there. Approaching now the black box, braking there for what is roughly 100 meters, going to this very slow stadium section that is just before the bridge under the highway. And now this revamped chicane has been opened up a bit, as they LiDAR scanned this for this year's game, and it's way more accurate to the real life thing, as now the time comes up for the first two sectors currently on 1 minute 10.5 for ADS, and now it's a very long blast on the back straight as you approach turn 17. DHL sign at the top to make you help spot your braking marker, Ernie, and then it's huge oversteer moment there, and he goes into the pit lane to abort that lap because that wasn't going to be any good. And it can help you to go in again, which I also did yesterday, and try to go for another 2 laps if you time it correctly. I did not, which was a shame by 1 second. But let's see what Takengino, 37.2, as Quincy is next over the line to start the lap. No, yeah, that was a banker lap. I saw that correctly on the ES deployment. So Quincy to start. He's one off now. Is T-Brand over the line? What is he gonna be doing? That seems like a banker as well. So yeah, drivers are keeping it slow and steady for now. It's Energetic also abandons the lap, so more people not feeling the need currently to complete laps. Toby Lenzen goes into what was briefly second, now third, with Moksha beating Tarkingino to what is currently provisional pole position, and now Race Chase over the line, who goes to second on a 36.2. But you can imagine they're going to be used tires. If you made it through here, you want that fresh set at the end. Usually driving on an Inter for longer is good, but yeah, if you use that for Q1, it could be good for Q2, because if you only set 1 lap, that was fast enough to beat what was Bruiser in our first segment. Then you just continue to drive these tires in Q2, and then you actually have 2 fresh sets left, which I can imagine is going to be the case for example, Snake, Quincy, Energetic, and also Race Chase, as we see Pleasant Snake now start his lap time. The first one for him here in Q3s. Both of the segments before. He left it late. Now he is in a bit of a hurry. He wants another one after that. Especially tough with pit stop already, approaching the 6-minute mark, and he has not completed the first sector. That might be tough. I'm gonna check for you if the fuel is good. No, the fuel is not good. He will need to come into the pit lane once again, as he's currently, according to the game, on the fastest first sector, and he will continue to blast through the main straight into what is now turn 11 coming up, and he is approaching that at a rate of knots. He uses that third gear for maximum traction, and then there's a bit of an understeer moment as you turn, and this is like a semi-double apex, and then you need to avoid the inside a bit, because the wall end, the end of the wall there is very much closer to what it has been before. Comparison for you, Dave. 10.5, 1 minute 10.5 on ADS. That was just a 8.9, so 1 minute 8.9 for Pleasant Snake, so significantly faster. Although we don't have a lap time from ADS because he abandoned that lap time. Let's see what the exit out of 17 looks like for Snake. It's just a tiny bit twitchy, but nothing major, and he is into second place, currently level with Moksha, just a couple of hundreds back. And there is, I think there was Toby Lenzen over the line as well. No, there was Truck Stage, 36.3, and on a recharge. For now, ADS once again out on the track, as well as Energetic, both of who have not set a lap time so far. With only 4.5 minutes left in the session, you need to time this right, because track is gonna be ramping up soon, and then you need to be in a position to set a lap time as late as you can.
ADS on a flying lap through turns 11 and 12. He goes. Very important to get the first, well, to get ahead of both the Mercedes and the Aston Martin driver, of course. Pleasant Snake has been a league of his own, as we've already said. His qualifying record speaks for itself. That's why he goes into tonight leading the championship by 16 points to Quincy. Quincy, as is the consistent second place man over the season, but has had a few rounds where he has been the guy on top. Of course, Qatar was the most recent example where, of course, Pleasant Sake had a drama of his own in that round, but then last week it was a real return to form, and well, he's hoping that continues for his own sake tonight. ADS across the line now. Will he help or hinder Quincy? Well, it's only 6th place, but that will be good for the constructors. Energetic also on a flyer, one of the 3 champions elect going into this evening, and of course hoping to take faster than Snake in Sector 2 from Herman, maybe Sector 1 as well. But now Sector 3 is where it needs to all come together. Let's go on board with the Mercedes driver. Very late on the brakes there, but no lockup from the Mercedes driver. Very neat turn in, and of course weights on the throttle there. Of course you have to do that in the wet. It's actually better to be straighter rather than wailing all over the place. And that is pole position for now in this late qualifying 3. So all 10 drivers have now completed their lap. With only 3 minutes to go on the dot, we are now set up for a very exciting climax here to Quali. Trugster, I think, has just started another flyer here. He is certainly flying through Sector 1 at a rate of knots. Let's keep an eye on this one, of course. Has been very quick round here in Miami. Of course, last night was a bit of a drop in the ocean as he unfortunately went, well, I say unfortunately, but he went fastest in qualifying 1 and then got knocked out in qualifying 2. 13th place was his final starting position last night, but already that has not come to fruition tonight, and he is really starting to perform. But as we always say with Trugster going into the race, it's his race pace that lets him down more than anything. Last week, final lap Abu Dhabi, he went from the podium to 7th place there, so we'll be hoping for no repeat of that tonight either. Hopefully Miami will be a more successful hunting ground for the Red Bull driver, but that could really ruin the championship one way or the other. We are still on board with Trugster. 2 minutes to go in qualifying. This will be, I think, the second to last fastest lap for him. He'll need to recharge again once he crosses the line, but he should have just enough time to get round and then set another flyer, but it is going to be oh so close, and I don't think he will. I don't think he's going to have enough time, so this will be his final flyer as he comes to the line now. 4th place for him, but I think he's just gone a bit too early there, Herman.
Yeah, I had a similar issue yesterday. I was like trying to get to the line with like already pushing on my outlap, so I think I just suffered the same fate there. Quick note on the brief yellow flags. Energetic was waiting for Tarkin Gino to catch up, but Tarkin Gino had a big mistake inside of the first sector, and maybe there is now maybe an off sync for these drivers now, so maybe no final slipstream coming for Tarkin Gino. If Energetic has recharged more, he might go as well again because there's time. But yeah, I think he missed out on giving slipstream to Takagino on the main straight. Back straight was never going to be the case, but Energetic is about to start another one here. He is on a bit less ERS, but that is fine as the track evolution is really heavy on improving your lap time. And most of the drivers are coming through now. The last to cross the line with enough on the clock left seems to be Moksha, because Race Chase is on his last flyer, and after than that Pleasant Snake is keeping it very close. 23 seconds it says outlap, and he's weaving. That might be tight. Let's see if he can make it. 15 seconds. Yeah, don't underestimate how slow the exit of turn 17 is. Let's see if he can make it. Is good. Maybe not. It's tight. Oh,
He's made it
by 1 second, by way better than me. So yeah, Trackstar through, T-Brand through, and the final laps are coming in. There's Quincy to 2nd, and Race Chase is about to start another one here as well as Moksha, and the rest is on its way as well.
Update on Energetic. He's abandoned his flying lap because look at that. He's got Tarkangino at the back, so he'd much rather give slipstream to his teammate rather than think about his own session, so he will not improve on his personal best. This Mercedes swap slipstream again. Tarkangino will be the big beneficiary in all of this. Couldn't quite see the splits for Tarkangino, but we'll see how it comes out once we get to the start-finish line. Energetic kindly moves out the way, of course, in order to make sure Tarkangino is unimpeded by his teammate. And now only a couple of corners to go. Where will Tarkangino go? If he can, it's going to be... Oh, he's crashed it! He's crashed it almost immediately, pushing too hard. And on the start-finish straight, he will not complete his time there, as there's a Red Bull going to the line there. Energetic retires for obvious reasons. But at the moment now, all eyes on Pleasant Sake as Race Chase is also coming to the line, but he's come off a fastest lap. Demoksha there managed third position, but now for Pleasant Sake, well, if that is a representation of an improvement, it's his total lap time. It's not enough for pole position. The one time he could use it now. It's sector 3. It's going to have to be where it all counts. He goes right up to the barrier. Can he make this work? Pleasant Sake leaves it late. Does he make it great? Oh, no, he doesn't. But it is a reverse order in your championship. So from first to third, Energetic, Quincy and Pleasant Sake, it's the reverse order in the championship, and what a race we have set up for you tonight.
Damn, who is leaking the script for SSL Season 7 Division 2? What is this qualifying? Energetic taking the provisional pole position way before the end of the session and keeping it, with Quincy coming like 2 minutes later over the line, and Snake being the last over the line with 1 second, can't make it past the 0.5 mark. Is even like significant, like almost 3/10 behind. I don't think he has had any bigger gap than that inside of the qualifying for this year. So very surprising from Energetic there, but he needs that. But he also needs to keep that for the next 29 laps, as we are going to be moving into what is a roughly 5-minute break before we head into a 50% race, as Energetic takes pole position in Miami with Quincy second, Pleasant Lake third. So that is your reverse championship order. Moksha fourth against Race Chase and Trucks also in a chase for what is best of the rest behind our contenders. ADS seventh, T-Brand eighth, Toby in front of Takagino, who, as you saw, crashed it on the final attempt there before crossing the line and did not improve. And now we're moving to race predictions before we head into the formation lap. And yeah, why don't you go ahead and tell me who you think is going to be occupying the top 5 positions?
Absolutely. Let's have a look at how things line up for one last time. Well, let's just see. I would say Pleasant Snake is still going to win this. I have a lot of confidence in his race pace overall, his consistency, and I still think he will be the win. So he is my one for that. I will say Energetic will be second on this regard. Quincy just doesn't quite seem to have it, in my opinion. Of course, he had an absolute nightmare race last night, so he just needs to remember his braking points. He might be okay, but I would still say that it is going to be, for me, Pleasant State with the win, Energetic with second, and Quincy with third place.
And fourth and fifth?
That'll be an interesting one. I'm going to say Trugster fourth, and then ADS fifth.
I'm going Quincy first, Energetic second, Snake third, and I'm gonna back Race Chase in front of Moksha, and now you will need to take over because I really need to pee.
Oh, wonderful. Too much information there from Herman the German. At the moment, we have the most professional commentator here in the commentary box, Herman the German, announcing that he needs to go and do other business. But otherwise, we are right here getting ready for 29 laps at the Miami Street Circuit. Just to remind you, in case you have only just joined us, you are in for one heck of a penultimate round. Of course, next week will be the Mystery Grand Prix announced, which will be announced within the hour of the start next week. Of course, Monday is Division 1. Tuesday, which you've tuned in for tonight, is Division 2. You are about to see one heck of a cinematic race. Of course, Miami last night was very exciting, but Herman putting one hand on the driver's title, which will be his second if he can convert that next week. And now we have a very tight 3-driver affair in the championship tonight. We have got a total of 18 points separated the top 3. Just to remind you, from third to first, it's Energetic, Quincy, and Snake. Reverse that order, or vice versa, first and third. That's the qualifying order in the top 3 tonight. We cannot wait to get this started. We've put our predictions down. All that's left is for one formation lap, 129 lap race, and we'll know who is where. And of course, handling post-race interviews will be Herman, of course, because you don't need two drivers. You don't need two commentators to do a podium interview. I can tell you that for free. But otherwise, going on things tonight, Quincy, of course, had, in the first 5 rounds, 5 second places. That all came to an end in round 6, where he finished 7th. Then round 7, he really came back for the win. And then round 8 was back to 3rd place. And then round 9 was 4th place, where he then finished again in Abu Dhabi. But here we go. The formation lap begins. Let's run through your order one more time. And let's bring the music on for the formation lap as well. So, of course, we all know who starts pole. It is Energetic, who, of course, is in 3rd place and is the furthest behind Pleasant Stake. He will be hoping that he can stay in front of Quincy, and Quincy can keep Pleasant Stake behind to give him maximum points and to take this championship to where it needs to go. Into the final round, it is Quincy in 2nd place, Pleasant Stake 3rd, hoping to get past the 2 in front. Moksha just looking to be best of the rest. He starts 4th place there, who is also in a fight with the driver behind him. Race Chase, top 5 qualifying for him. His qualifying has been really impressive from week to week, and Division 2 seems to be a favourite hunting ground for him. Truckster in 6th place has late race consistency issues. Can he qualm all of that tonight, or will it be a repeat? We'll find out as we go through the session. It is 6th place for the British driver. ADS hoping to bring home more points for the Ferrari to give them the best advantage they can have going into the Mystery Grand Prix next week. He starts 7th. Tabran just looking to race for 8th place. He starts in that very position ahead of his rival, Toby. Then it's Tarkangino rounding out the top 10, who said tonight the top 10 was going to be oh so difficult, but he went and proved everybody wrong. But a crash in qualifying 3 might have hindered his confidence a little bit. Salvi in 11th place has been like a yo-yo in terms of his form all season long. Can he bring home another top 10, which he did so last week in Abu Dhabi? Rendog starts 12th, Jamaican Jam 13th, Skid Solo 14th, Sir Ribbo 15th, and Bruiser, who finally found the ERS button, starts 16th, but I highly doubt that's where he's going to finish. Let's see what the American driver can do from that position. But now Energetic is going to bring the 15 drivers behind him to the start-finish straight, which is only 1 corner away, Herman. Let's see what happens.
Everyone on mediums, so yeah, the start entire set, but as we know from yesterday, depending on where you pit, between lap 8 and 10 is probably 2-stop. After that, looking at people going for that 1-stop, currently AWS graphics, yeah, double medium is not even the better strategy, but if the game somehow pulls data from Truckster not having a second medium, then he's in a bit of trouble for. And Quincy messed up the parking. Can't park there, mate. So let's see what he can do in the race, as the last couple of guys are lining up to go to this race start. Take it away, Dave.
Few moments now, we are going to see who will have the upper hand going into the Mystery Grand Prix. The countdown starts now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. It's go at the Hard Rock Stadium, and that is a good start there from Energetic, but Quincy was equal to it. But there's Pleasant Stake as well, hoping to put the pressure on. That Williams and Moksha really came to a big halt through turn 1, but look at the Ferrari. Oh my goodness, he's going to make this work. It's so rare to see it overtake round here, but Energetic is still there. Does he back out? No, the Mercedes is still there as they go through the next few turns. My word, what great racing from both the Ferrari and the Mercedes. Quincy takes the lead of the Miami Grand Prix almost instantly. Tabran and Toby are fighting for 8th place in the background. Jamaican Jam making up a position. Salvi into the top 10 as well. Great start from the Haas driver, but now Energetic is going to start coming back at him. Here we go, on board with the Mercedes driver. Quincy goes defensive. They're going to go side by side again. Look at Moksha as well, attacking Snake into the next turn, but it wasn't successful. Moksha slots back in, but look at Energetic as well. It's going back at the Ferrari, but nowhere to go. Moksha now, Truckster.
Oh no! ADS almost had a huge moment with Truckster, and Salvi is, I think, very lucky to get away with no front wing damage. They tagged inside of the little stadium, but everything is fine for now, but that looked very scary for a moment there.
Here we go again for the battle for the lead as we continue going over this, but no dice there for the time being. But now we're going to see that continuation of the battle for 8th place there. That Aston Martin of Skid Solo has had a really good start there, up into 12th place, but is defending from Tarkangino. Tarkangino needing to bring home the points there for the Mercedes, but cannot get past Skid Solo. To Bran into the pits, though. He's had a moment, I think, as DRS isn't able... Yes, his front wing is damaged. So there was a victim in all of that, unfortunately, and it was the McLaren of Tabran. Of course, McLaren coming into tonight, 8th place in the Constructors behind Alpine, but the only running Alpine tonight is Sir Ibo. And, well, they can make up the time if they are lucky. But Herman, what a first lap that is, and what a race. What racing from Energetic and Quincy.
Yeah, not only them, Trucks and ADS going at it right behind that into the first stadium section. Before that was a very hair-raising moment there for the Ferrari driver, because they were so close together, and then sometimes you lose a bit of front stabilization if you tap the guy in front, and then you are praying that the car does not spin into the path of someone behind, and that nearly happened before the part where we're currently watching ADS going over that chicane at the end of the second sector. So early stop for T-Brand, nothing is out of the question. Safety car can still happen. For example, into turn 17 that we are approaching for only the second time inside of the nice race. And the first 8 are currently within the train, so they're going to be looking... Oh, actually, I've just spotted ADS has the suggested two-stop strategy with the hard, so maybe that is correct. Front two are very close together. Energetic was looking like he wanted to get by there on Quincy at the exit. And I've once again noticed Chuckster and Pleasant Snake are 1 lap under fuel. That was yesterday no problem in terms of how much you can get back, especially inside of the train. So for now, that's something I just note, but it could be problematic if something happens further down the line, and they might be in need to save some fuel down the line if it doesn't go their way currently with the DS train, because you save more there, because you don't need to use that much ERS, which pumps up the RPM, and then you lose more of your fuel load that you obviously need to carry, since refueling was banned in 2010. So
Here we go into the next DRS zone, and at the end of it, look, Moksha is looking very racy behind Snake. Of course, that's the last thing you would have wanted. The Red Bull of Truckster very wide there for 5th, but holds on to that position. Swap outside of the top 10 yet again. Jamaican Jam past Skid Solo. Sir Ibo past Rendog, and I think there's been a moment somewhere. Is that with Bruiser or something like that? I don't quite see what's happened there. It's a shame we don't get replays here in the spectator camera, but unfortunately, we'll just have to leave that one up to the imagination, as Rendog is past there, so I wonder if that actually happened to Rendog. But regardless now, well, the top 2 have broken away from Pleasant Snake. Well, this is certainly very rare to see, and not what he would have wanted, as ADS makes the move there, but with a 3-second penalty for track limit violations, that then becomes all undone, as Truxton will take that top 5 position back. Now Moksha is still within DRS, but look, Pleasant Snake had nothing going into turn 1. So now, trouble for Snake already, and Moksha is going to start rubbing his hands together and wanting to try and make a move on the Aston Martin. Not because he has any stakes in this championship, but because I'm sure he'd love to cause some chaos there. Bludge swapping in the background as well, as Salvi made his way past Toby Elizen there. Toby Lenzen, even, beg your pardon. Herman will probably have a go at me after this. But DRS opening for the Mercedes yet again. 7/10 of a second. Cautions out for Rendog in sectors 2 and 3 there, but he's off into the pits, so we don't quite know what happened to him. As now Energetic so close. And now Moksha up into 3rd place there, but the Red Bull of Truxton was approaching at a firing rate of knots. Had to get that stopped, and unfortunately, but now down 2 positions there, but missing his braking marker, probably distracted by the Aston Martin. But that is Snake down to 4th place. So just to remind you, if Quincy wins that, well, the amount that Snake needs to take the championship is now the amount Quincy gains. So that's going to go from a 14-point gap to a 2-point gap. That is not what Pleasant Snake wanted as his start to the race. This is a nightmare if you're the Aston Martin, isn't it, Herman?
Yeah, and he's also dropping back now to ADS, who just has been handed a 36 champion. I was just watching Randall, because as he rejoined, it seemed like there was some sort of a technical issue, because he was pressing throttle and brake pedal at the same time, and he couldn't get it going. So that might be something on his wheel, if there's like a driver issue. Or for the first time since I got my wheel in August, had problems as well. And there is, the car now stricken in the way, it seems. Yeah, it was just there at the exit. So very nicely done by Codemasters there to park the car anywhere on the track, but everyone gets by there as quickly as they can, and hopefully nothing more than just a slight scare. But looked like there was suddenly he was slow on the straight, there was no contact, I couldn't see anything from that. And now there's maybe energetic on the inside of Quincy. They judge for a slight moment there. The inside line is usually the better one through turn 12, and he stays ahead as Pleasant is back into the DRS of Moksha, who's currently not himself inside of the DRS despite the fighting going on in front of him. And Race Chase has also lost the DRS to Pleasant Snake, so lots and lots of managing going on. And I'm still interested to see if you remember our pre-broadcast conversation. Maybe there, if Snake doesn't know, he's going for that two-stop as well, because he's not feeling that confident, you can see that. And he's very slow on the straight as well. He's dropping most of the time on the straight, gets it back under braking, it's just slightly out of the DRS, let's check. Yeah, he is using that additional ERS he just had on that back straight to get back into what is the DRS detection zone for at the end of turn 8. And currently is dropped by Moksha, and he is trying to get into that juicy DRS window from Energetic. Lots and lots of interesting things you need to keep an eye out for. And Pleasant Snake seems to be very, very much quicker inside of the first couple of corners. So his setup might be on the higher side for the downforce, and that is currently obviously helping at the front, because Quincy was about to drop Energetic out of the DRS window, and that has happened because the DRS detection point is just after the corners. And Energetic is pushing on that DRS as well as Race Chase, and also Pleasant Snake back into maybe a fight with Moksha. Really bad exit there from the Williams drivers. ADS and Truckster swap. He's on the inside. The Ferrari that is. Now the Red Bull has the inside once again. Can he go the long way around there? There's another tank slapper on the front for the Ferrari. Goes deep and is through. Truckster just touches the back of the rear tire. We don't have any slicing open of the tires as we're not running simulation damage. So but now ADS is in need to use a bit of that ERS. And that is no use in terms of a defense, because that DS is so powerful. I think Truckster is gonna make light work of him, and that is the case. So Truckster back into what is currently 6th position, and that fighting obviously enables to get people from you away and other ones to catch up, as the next cars behind 2.5 seconds with Salvi and Toby, our what is the second part of the championship, best of the rest, for the guys who I expect to be fighting for the top or the higher end positions for next season, as more and more people will be moved out into D1 only, as especially the current front 5 a bit too fast for the overall field inside of Division 2, so they should enjoy the last 2 races, because D1 is a tough field, I can tell you.
Well, Herman has every right to say that, but he is currently leading the... Well, I think he's leading the championship in that, but yes, he is, because he's taken a 13-point lead over Russia Series. So, of course, if Herman says it, it must be true, but then again, he can also say he has it a little bit easier. Swings and Roundabouts, of course, took 2 wins in Division 2 last season as well, which, of course, saw his promotion into Division 1, and now fighting for that title the very next season. Very epic work from Herman, of course. But now, look at this. We are seeing a very close battle for 3rd place, and Pleasant Snake needs to get this moved on. There's really no choice in the matter at the moment, because the top 2 have just gotten away from one another. They are not fighting, and Quincy in control of this race now. Quincy, does he go for the 1-stop or the 2-stop? Let's see what he does. Pleasant Snake there to the inside, but not close enough to have a go there on the Williams driver. As Herman has already said, he looks to be down on straight line speed. That's Energetic there with an uncharacteristic mistake there. Looked like he had a bit of a tank slapper just going through the final couple of turns, but look at the run the Aston Martin has, and that is to the inside, down the start finish straight, and he gets that move done. That was light work from him, so that is very important in his own championship campaign there. And now he is going to start, hopefully for his own race and his own campaign, going to start chasing down Energetic. But Energetic, that's not the sight he would have wanted to have seen. Let's see what the top three are planning. So it can either be a one-stop if you extend beyond lap 10 or a two-stop if you come into the pits in the next couple of laps. So the only guy to have stopped at the moment is Tabran there, but of course had front wing damage from lap 1, so he is forced onto the two-stop regardless. Is on the hard tyre, but if a safety car comes out, well, you never know. Tabran will be right back into this championship fight, and then, oh, goodness me, as soon as I say that, somebody has had a massive error, and that is at turn 8. That's Jamaican Jam, the other Williams driver. Looks like he's A-okay, though. Probably just had a brief moment going through the corners, but regardless, though, not what he would have wanted, and Jamaican Jam resumes in 12th place without any intervention from virtual race control. We are now about to see this battle for third continue. Moksha has not let Snake go. Not what Snake would have wanted, but we knew it was always going to be tricky because there are a total of 3 DRS zones, and you're seeing the third one here right now. Of course, the next one is on the start-finish straight. Snake has nothing at the moment. He is 2 tenths away from Energetic. He has started to improve his pace as the Aston Martin, but now Energetic and Quincy into the pits, Herman.
Yeah, there's now an early, sort of prevention to not get undercutted, because the undercut is very powerful. There's a 10-second speeding for the second Ferrari of ADS, who is the only driver to have time penalties inside of our race so far. And there's another yellow for Skid Solo at the exit of turn 17, so he needs to get that going as soon as he can. Because if you are stationary for too long, sometimes there can be stuff happening, and the virtual race control can intervene. So yeah, big part of the race now. That is definitely going to be the two-stop. Quincy has continued to argue that the two-stop was going to be better, but I'm interested to see. The pace looks very strong if the field currently is not that tightly together, so just a couple of guys who might want to come in as soon as they can as well. So if you don't burn these tires through traffic, then you're technically good to go. But when the field is way tighter than this, for example, right now, you're going to be struggling even with a tire advantage, because if you're behind someone in this part of the track where Quincy is right now, at the end of the second sector, you are losing and burning through your tires a bit faster. And if that happens to you for like 2 or 3 parts off the track per lap, that is not the strategy to go. It was tight, but now we are in need for response at the front, as Snake is continuing, as Moksha is race chase, so they are not following that through, and Quincy and Energetic will see that on the track map very soon as well. It's sad for ADS, but he's currently still ahead of Tark and Gino, just pitted as well. Toby goes into the pits as well, so response to that. Truckster being the first car on track for the Red Bull team for tonight, so he gets priority. And there's another yellow for what was Bruiser just now, and Ibo was weaving behind there, so something must have happened there, as we have a somewhat 3-guy fight at the back for now. Bruiser and Ibo still yet to pit, but below 2 seconds in between each other, so still fight going on for what is 2 points at the end of the field, and one is pitting, and that is Bruiser.
All right, Bruiser with front wing damage there, so he'll have to get that replaced. The American driver nearly got out of qualifying 1, but unfortunately just messed up turn 17 and finally found the ERS button, as we said earlier this evening. And so maybe Bruiser could really surprise us all going into next week. Let's see. Keep an eye on the American driver in the coming season as well. He might be going from strength to strength at long last. But anyway,
he did repair the damage.
Say it? Oh, he didn't repair the damage.
No, I think it was too spontaneous. I think if you set it to auto on the wing level damage here, it's not going to be repaired, sadly. So you always need that formation lap to set it to yes, in order to make sure everything is fine. Savi's still out on medium tires there, and he is not responding to anyone pitting around him. And T-Brand is back into a fight because his pace has been strong. He's currently fighting with Tarek and Gino as a fresher tire just pitted the lap prior, and the Trackster takes the fastest lap for now. That is also consolidated with a point inside of the season. And we are looking to see if people are in trouble with that 1 stop compared to 2 stop. The train at the front is pulling each other along, which is good. And Quincy has now a 9-second gap that will turn into probably a 10 to 11 second lead at the end of lap 12. I would say is like the earliest you can do. You want that undercut somewhat, but then need to don't overdo the tire on the first couple of laps. It's warm enough to get going if you need to make a fight or start a fight on your outlap, as now Takengino goes by on T-Brand on that main straight. But you have to take care of it for that one extra lap. And lap 13 wasn't great, so I expect them to come to be coming into the pit lane at the end of next lap. Anything earlier could be troublesome. It's very fine margins on this game. Was also the case with Qatar. So let's see. Top guys are continuing on, and now the gap is down to 8 seconds with Energetic B in the DS train of Quincy, who is, if you disregard pit stops, is our net race leader, as Energetic is taking that point away from Chucksa once again.
Okay, well, so things are beginning to shape up here. The only question we need to ask is, when is Pleasant Snake pitting? Is he trying to hang on for a safety car potentially? I don't see him going any further beyond lap 13, to be honest. So the next 2 laps are very important for your current top 3, who have not pitted just yet. But Trugster also, who has made his pit stop already, goes past Salvi there, who is matching the strategy of the top 3 as well. Salvi having actually a very good race so far, consistent. And, well, let's see how he goes. We'll keep an eye on him at the moment. But, of course, let's give a little bit of a shout-out to, let's say, Skid Solo there. He's having a very good race of his own. As past Ibo and Bruiser there. And he is on for a good haul of points there. Caution Sector 3, though, for who is that? That is Sir Ibo there. And he is parked on the wrong side of the track. He is not moving. Needs to get moving ASAP. Does so, and there we go. No intervention from race control required, but that's Sir Ibo down to last position there. And, well, he continues on, but he is about to be lapped by this top 3. If they don't come into the pits, it looks like Snake is going to make his way, as will everybody else. Here we go. This is crunch time. Quincy will get past. There's Energetic as well. DRS will open on the start for this straight, but remember, these 2 will have to stop again. They can't get to the end on their tyres, and as Danger David proved last night, the 2-stop was the fastest strategy if he had found a way past Babish, who to them 2 got into yet another collision after making contact in the Division 1 race in Las Vegas a few weeks ago. But anyway, in Division 2, this is where the business end is coming. It is the last 2 rounds of the championship. Pleasant State comes out 5th place, but he has got a long way to go so far. So he's on to the 1-stop now after pitting on lap 13 and on the hard tyres as we expected. But now here is Energetic stimmed in DRS off Quincy, but no real battery to carry along. Half a second. Can he make the move work? 3/10 of a second. This is going to be close, but not close enough to get alongside the Ferrari. He backs it out for now. But what will Pleasant Snake do? This is where ADS could really become a problem for the Aston Martin. Can the teammate maybe play a bit of a role in maybe bringing Moksha into the fight there? Because ADS, well, he has 4 lap older tyres. Now, that's not too significant in the grand scheme of things. He'll be on a 2-stop as well, but this is where part of his race is going to be. Let's see if ADS can do a favour for Quincy. Hold him up, and now here's Moksha, here's Race Chase. We know the Aston Martin is down on straight line speed. This is an important moment for the Grand Prix. ADS with a 13-second post-race penalty. He can't improve from this, but here's Moksha. It's going to be 3 wide down the straight. Into turn 17 we go. Moksha to the inside, Snake to the outside, and it's going to be... It's Moksha through! Moksha gets past Pleasant Snake. This is a nightmare for the Aston Martin, but there's another DRS zone incoming in a few moments' time. ADS could even try and get himself involved. ADS does look to the inside, but wasn't close enough there. Going into turn 1, though, Moksha is ahead of Snake. Another problem for the championship leader coming into tonight, who is losing points to Quincy and Energetic. But remember, the top 2 have to stop again. Herman, what's the situation at the moment? Because this is a nightmare continuing, going from bad to worse for the Aston Martin.
Yeah, I've looked at the gaps after they pitted, and it was like 13-something seconds. So that is a significant gap over what we've seen, I think, yesterday, especially with how much that just costed Snake, and I was watching him using his battery on that straight before Moksha took that position immediately away. He was down by like 30% points over the Williams driver, so he is using so much more battery that he can't really save inside of any of these corners, despite, yeah, you would think there is obviously more cornering speed, but if you just need to burn the battery on every straight, then there's nothing you can do really, and saving on the straight could actually, yeah, in hindsight, cost him more, because if you are turning off the ERS inside of the DRS from the guy in front, you are still obviously going down on the tops on the straight line speed as Pleasant Snake now to the inside of Moksha, but this is just hurting his race more. He kind of needed yeah, to recharge maybe there a bit, because this is not really swapping the DRS easily, it's just really continuously fighting, and the gap is still at 13.3 seconds, and that is helping Quincy, because he will come out only 6 seconds behind these guys after his final pit stop in what I would assume is roughly 5 laps, maybe 4 laps time, and then 6 seconds with the last 11 laps is easily doable. And currently I would bet, because of the lack of traffic, the amount of fighting we just seen in the first basically 2 to 3 laps after the pit stop, and how easy Energetic made that for Quincy to follow through, like seeing that the race was with him and not with Pleasant Snake, and continuously involving in fights. He was, they were playing it smart. A lot of race intelligence from these two guys, and they will gain huge amount of points currently, because they will be on short tires, Moksha and Snake, to defend what is gonna be a very fast final stint for the guys at the front, and the gap has not come down, still at 13 seconds, and that is very alarming, because if you don't have the straight line speed and you are burning all of your ERS, your overall pace is obviously going to be down, because you're going to be so much more vulnerable to the guys behind on the straight, because they don't need to use that much ERS, can save a bit little and still fight you on the straights. And if they want to turn the ERS off, they're going to save more and still catch you on the straight. So that's like a continuously downward spiral for Pleasant Snake, who's now 3.5 seconds behind Truckster, who is also on an alternative strategy. He is way behind on the top guys, but is still looking like he's going to be fighting Moksha and Race Chase maybe at the end. There's no intervention, and there's another spin by Servo at the end of the lap with him going straight at it again after that fight. And we are looking at the fight for the front with Energetic now going by on Quincy, and that might help him. As recharge is even better on the side of Quincy for now. I'm currently gonna recheck fuel levels, and you can take over, because I was still interested to see what Truckster and Pleasant Snake have done for fuel inside of the first half of the race.
Absolutely here. Of course, as Herman said earlier on, both of them have underfueled by a single lap, so they are fuel saving at this current moment in time. Of course, Herman will get back to us with the numbers in a few moments, but here's Quincy now to the inside at turn 17. Don't want to fight this too hard, because you don't want to bring Snake into any sort of contention, and at the moment, with Truckster being a bit of a doorstop between these two and Snake, well, that could only play to his hands. There's been another yellow flag. Whereas that happened, Tabran is in the wall! Tabran in the wall! As now, well, there's been another yellow flag as well, but that's for the slow-moving vehicle of Bruiser. But Tabran in the wall there, no intervention from race control, though, as we are still, entering into the closing stage of this race. Still 13 laps to go. We are beyond the halfway point. Of course, this race is flying by, but only because this is such an entertainer, because we don't know where this is going to go at any point. Moksha really making use of this. He has been one of the faster drivers here in Division 2 throughout the season. He has about a bit yo-yoed a little bit in the first season. In the first half of the season 7, beg your pardon, but since the second half, really doing well. Tabran with a 10-second penalty for spinning in the pit lane. But back to matters in the lead of this race, Energetic was not close enough to try and make a move on Quincy that time of asking. But now you ask, when are they going to pit again? And I would assume around lap 20 potentially, and go onto the medium tyres for the rest of this race. That'll be the same for Truckster as well. Salvi at the moment as well, keeping an eye on him. He's also 4-lap fresh tires, so he is going to be on a real charge, and they will be undercutting a lot of drivers in front of him. He'll be hoping that, well, Pleasant will be hoping that he ends up in, well, no, Pleasant State won't pit again, so that's kind of out of the picture, but that will be important for these two we are watching, as they will want to be ahead of as many drivers as they possibly can when they go in for their final stop. Herman, any news on that fuel?
Yeah, there's enough fuel, I think, safe for now. They started with just roughly over a lap down, and they are now just a couple of laps over the limit, the halfway mark. We've seen them come down to the halfway mark as well. So I think they're going to be good to go, especially continuing like they are doing right now. I don't think there's active fuel saving be had, and I would like to think that we are actually seeing pit stop at the end of this lap, because I don't think the medium tire is the race tire. They are going to be looking at the second hard, and if they're packed it, they're going to be in a big advantage. If Energetic, for example, doesn't have it, he's going to be undercut by Quincy, and the tire is not going to be lasting because he needs to do at least 2 extra laps if you assume that Quincy would to pit now, because then it's roughly 11 to go. You have the lightest car you could have at this stage. If you are comfortable, you could extend. Pleasant Snake has now brought the gap down to what is 11.7, but the expected pit time loss, not the time you spend in the pit lane, is 18.5 seconds as Bruce is getting out of the way at the end of the second sector. Once again, there's another swap to be had. Energetic into the lead once again, and if he has that second hard, I will pit now to make sure I don't get undercutted. Your race is with Quincy, and Quincy is doing the undercut. That is very, very intelligent for him. He just got past to avoid being in with the same on the same level with the guy in front of you. You need to do something different. The gap is gonna be roughly where ADS is, so if anything, ADS just straight jumps out of the way, lets Quincy continue, and then it's totally on, because he's gonna be just 6 seconds behind the guys who are doing the one-stop strategy. It's gonna be a 6 to 7 lap tire difference, and there's gonna be a lot of saving needed to be done on their end, but not for Quincy. And let's see where he is actually at. He is just behind, just got behind Bruiser, but ADS also pitted, so that has also removed from the equation, and now the gap is to 5.6 seconds, and that should be very doable. The only thing that can hurt him now is if there's a safety car now until the end, because or before he's passing them, obviously, because then they can change to a fresh tire and be ahead, and that would obviously hurt his race. And we're seeing probably a response from Energetic at the end of this lap. He's pushing down to 0% on the battery. And he's trying to make that win work, because that is an additional 5 points over your rival. And since Energetic is the guy behind on points, he is in need to do so. And he's into the pit lane. And now we're looking at the gap for the top 2, and Quincy is currently on 17.6, so over a second undercut currently available to him, and he will probably set the fastest lap at the next crossing. The red dot on the track map at your bottom right is the point to look out to. There is just the line for Energetic, and Quincy is comfortable through. There's a big cut on the inside of turn 1, but then it comes back to you and bites you a bit, because that inside turn 2 curb is really annoying for you, and Quincy is just out and ahead by what is currently just over a second, a bit more ERS. He could push away at the start of this next straight. Let's see, this is very crucial for the race. He could lay the foundation to be away from Energetic, but he has stayed in there for what I've seen on the track map. And I'm going to check with for you. And there, Energetic has actually missed the DRS, as we have another brief yellow inside of turn 17, but that is gone. So the drivers who have done their 2-stop are now back out on track, and Truxer has gone for that medium tire just now, so he's on the more aggressive side, but he needs also to overcome more seconds, as he's 10.7 down on the drivers we are currently watching, going for it in what is 4th and 5th position.
You can see this battle for the top 3 also has Quincy at the back of the frame, looming large. Pleasant Snake trying to win this race. He needs it now for his championship to go into next week. Quincy surely safe in terms of getting to the end. Well, catching up to them before the end of this Grand Prix. They started at over 5 seconds, now at 4 seconds, and every yellow flag is anxiety-inducing, I am sure. A fastest lap from the Ferrari as well, but surely one coming in from the Mercedes as well. But surely these two work together and try and catch up. There is a bigger thing at stake rather than measly race position, beg your pardon. Well, let's see how they do throughout these next few laps. 9 to go, 3.5 seconds. The time is coming down. Quincy was inspired in chat last night by Danger David's strategy. He has gone and copied it, and it looks like it could be successful. This was the race that was going to be given to us at the end of Division 1, but we were robbed of that after contact between David and Babish. But now, tonight, it is for the championship, and this is the most important race of Quincy's and energetic season. They will be wanting to make this work. This is an exciting conclusion to an exciting Miami Grand Prix. It's gone down to the strategy. Which one is going to work? Will it be the 2-stop? Will it be the 1-stop? We only have 9 laps to go, 8 at the line, and Moksha has not been looking at making a move on Snake. He has played second fiddle, bar one moment where ADS held up the Aston Martin. The Williams tries to look into turn 17, so now the move is beginning to happen. Moksha sends a warning sign to the Aston Martin, and maybe into turn 1 could make something happen, but now Quincy 2.5 seconds behind. This is very important for Moksha to get done sooner rather than later. But on lap 22 out of 29, look who has fastest lap. It's the guy in 5th place, Energetic. And Trugster on the mediums just isn't setting the timing pages alight as of right now. But then as soon as I say that, he gets a 1:29.6. Thank you, Trugster. And now Moksha is still within that 7/10 range. He's not been able to get that down. But then you look back at Quincy, 1.8 seconds already. This is turning into a little bit of a disaster, but Moksha's wide and has missed DRS. Now, here comes Race Chase. He might have a go at the Williams driver. He's used a bit of battery down there, but he's not quite got enough to catch up to the Red... Well, no, not the Red Bull. The Williams in front there. Moksha is back, but here's Energetic to the inside of Quincy into turn 11. Bit of contact between the two. Energetic has a bit of a moment. The Dutch driver tried to make something work, but it's not going to harm each other too much. Energetic probably a bit more opportunistic rather than planned out. Herman, this is tense.
It is very much, and you can see that this feels like this strategy that they wanted in Brazil when 2 or 3 drivers jumped the gun and went for that second pit stop, but just being outside the dirty air from the guys in front as Quincy goes defensive into turn 17, waiting another launch from Energetic as he's now into that DRS of Race Chase ahead. You were just looking at this, but now this type of track and the corners are so much more different, and you are running on lower wings, which means more grip to your tires obviously helps you, as there's a brief intervention once again with the yellow flags for, I think that was the Alpine of the Ibo. And you have to say, and I am gonna jump the gun here for Quincy. David just did a strategy, I think that was obviously suggested, but Quincy had the data on that very early on, was very keen on doing that 2-stop even before the test race 2 weeks prior, and he is very keen to get that one working, and he is now attacking the V-Cup that still has the DRS from the guy in front, and I think that was the attempt from Energetic to try to break the DRS briefly for Quincy, make him go defensive, and he's on the outside maybe? No, that's way of a long way to go, way too long around the outside there for the Mercedes driver, but he is looking very racy, and there's like 6.5 laps to go. That isn't too bad, especially with the tire difference, but you need to manage the braking zones of the guys ahead, and obviously trying to not brake too early before the guy behind you attacks you. And that is still for the championship. That is not some guy who wants to improve his season best result and go into first or second here. That is the second most race winner behind you. He has 4 wins to his name. Snake is currently leading, and Quincy has only one to his name, but he is looking like he wants that second one as Energetic goes to the inside once again. Are they trying to scramble into turn 1? Yes, they are. Who is on the inside there once again? It's Energetic. And can he hold it on the inside there? Oh, that's very wide from Quincy. The outside is very, very much longer. Their inside line once again for the S section. Side by side racing for the guys who are currently on the back foot against Pleasant Snake. That is obviously helping, but it is crucial, and you have to understand that this tire advantage is still with them, even if they fight it like that much right now. They're gonna be on significantly better tires, but the only thing they're costing themselves right now is to get closer to the guys in front, because they're just chilling. They're just trying to save their battery and make sure they have something in the fence left before these guys approach. And Energetic is through, so that is the net race lead. If he can might finally make it inroads, but there's now 2 guys who have DRS who he needs to pass, in a sense where there is no opportunity for Quincy to get back on him, and obviously no mistake. You need to be clinical with these moves, and we're gonna see this inside of the next 5.5 laps now. I'm super stoked to see this now.
I am super hyped in the commentary booth here. We are looking at what is one of the most important races here, and if any of this fighting continues, Truckster is only 8.7 seconds behind, but we will go for 5 to go once we get to the start-finish line. Can Snake somehow pull this off? Energetic was always kind of an outside contender before tonight, but now he is looking like he wants to really get inside of this. Let's see what he can do. Energetic is looking for a move. He goes left, he goes right, and he's going to settle for the outside line. Energetic through into 3rd place, and he gets through. That's important move for his race. Moksha now is the only one that's left, and Quincy will be frustrated behind the American driver, but of course he will have the tire advantage over the V-Carb driver, or Racing Bulls driver, depending on how you want to call it. But here we go. Energetic now with DRS on Moksha. This could be the move of the race, but Moksha is also close. Pleasant Snake forced to the inside. Here we go into turn 11. This could really be anything. A moment is all it takes to change. Energetic wide there, but he keeps the position. That's most important. It'll be 4 to go at the line, and before you know it, we could have an upset moment. All it takes is for one thing to go wrong with one of these 5 drivers, and then it will be a whole shed load of tears for one of the drivers. Of course, within 3 laps to go, we will not see the safety car, VSC at minimum virtual safety car, but here we go. Energetic needs to make that work, and Quincy needs to make this work as well. But Moksha to the inside and gains on Snake there. Going into the corners, Quincy couldn't do enough, and this will be frustrating for the Ferrari driver, but Energetic gets a better run out the corner. He does not need to wait. He's about to make his move, as is Quincy, I think, but no, again, Moksha gets away on the straight, and he looking good here, Herman. This is great stuff from Moksha. Give credit where credit is due.
Yeah, not too bad on the defense, and you have to say that Pleasant Snake is still in need of a bit of fuel saving, minus 2.0, so he needs to sometimes just let off the throttle a bit more. If he cannot do it, continue with his pace right now, he is in need to do that. But that is currently, maybe Future Snake's problem is now there's obviously the need to keep him, the driver behind in DRS, so he can't really pull away anyway. So that is happening as Quincy pulls out and is side by side with Race Chase. We're watching Energetic to go around the outside of Moksha, who is now trying to keep the inside line. Energetic is giving him enough space. The next hand side turn, the right hand side turn is so much more crucial. Is he ahead? Looks like it, and that is one of the better moves for him, and one at the crucial time, because Quincy is running out of laps and obviously out of resources, because you cannot continue to push and try to overtake a 3-car DRS train if you're not really heavy on ERS. And I can tell you from the telemetry, he's on 5% right now, and that is not going to be enough. And I think he's starting to realize that something is slipping away from him here, with Energetic just executing this one very well. Is he trying to line Snake up into turn 1? Usually this part of the racetrack was yesterday used to save more of the battery, because that extra DRS zone helps you with staying next to the guy in front, but you can't really overtake anyway. And if you can't get away within the next 4 turns, then you're gonna be passed easily on the next straight. So this is like a in between buffer DRS zone between the ones we are having on the main straights, and there's now the time for Energetic to save a bit of his energy. I'm gonna live recheck the fuel on Pleasant Snake. 1.3 minus 1.3, so 0.3, sorry, and he is gonna be looking at some more additional saving, and obviously not having that DRS, but the guy behind is gonna be crucial. Energetic right behind the rear wing of the Aston Martin, goes to the outside, maybe wants to try line up that switchback move, is very close, slightly taps him at the back of the diffuser, but all good on Pleasant Snake's side, and there's no damage, as this part cannot be damaged inside of this league, and he is good to go to try and pass him on the straight, and obviously help to get another buffer in between him and Quincy, because that is an additional 5 points gained over Quincy, who's currently second to Pleasant Snake, who will now be second because Energetic is through, and Quincy goes to the inside maybe of Moksha. No, that's just very late, trying to move out of the hit. I'm gonna hit you in the rear of your car if I'm gonna be braking late there. Quincy trying to get on Moksha as soon as he can, but he's running out of laps, but he needs that position, at least that one position. It's gonna be so crucial, because Snake just got demoted by 5 points, despite him obviously still being ahead of Quincy, and Quincy not gaining points as of right now. We are in the final 2 laps now, and Dave, I think this is yours to take.
2 laps to go. There is not much time left for Quincy to take opportunity of this. Energetic, we have just seen, taking the lead at the Miami Grand Prix. This is all or nothing now. Quincy needs to make this work. Let's go on board with the Ferrari driver, who has got nothing left, essentially. And he's just used all of his battery there and then. He will have the slipstream. He will have the DRS. And at the moment, it is just over a tenth. Moksha needing to defend here if he wants to continue fighting with Snake towards the final lap. He's got the first part done, but Energetic is moving away oh so slowly. And, well, he's over a second to Snake now, so Snake will again have nothing in defense. And Quincy trying to recharge the battery, but he's also got a very, very fast racing Bulls driver behind. Trunkster, by the way, has not been able to make any progress at all. He's at 9 seconds. He will not be in any sort of contention here. And Moksha again has gotten away from the Ferrari at another opportune moment. Caution in Sector 3, but we will not see any further intervention from race control at this point. Moksha very wide there. This might be an opportunity for Quincy if he could have got the traction sorted out. But here we go. 1 more lap. 3 more opportunities. The first one is here right now, and at the moment nowhere near enough for Quincy to try and get alongside the Williams. This is rather coming to an anticlimactic end if you're the Ferrari driver, but this is coming a great end if you're the Mercedes driver. Energetic has pulled away. He will have a 5-point gap, 5-point reduction to the gap with Snake going into the final round of the Mystery Grand Prix. But now, if you're Quincy, now or never, as Race Chase wide in the background. Caution in Sector 2 for a slow-moving vehicle. We don't really want to worry about that one too much. But now it's now or never if you're the Ferrari driver. DRS open for both the Williams and the Ferrari driver. But no moves are going to happen. At the moment, Moksha thought about it, but couldn't get close enough. But it's Energetic who will take the win here, and it is going to be a very special win indeed. He had an 18-point deficit coming in tonight. That's going to be reduced, but by how much? There is one more opportunity. Quincy needs to do a 2-in-1. He doesn't really have enough battery, but what about Moksha? Could he really do some damage in this championship? He's getting close. Snake to the defensive side, left-hand side. Moksha to the right. It's going to continue into turn 17. This is going to be desperate stuff, but Moksha is still alongside through the final couple of corners. Snake defends aggressively. He's lost the position. What about Quincy? He gets past. Unbelievable scenes. Quincy at the last moment got past Snake. That is everything in this championship. And now a 16-point gap goes down to a 13-point gap. Not as much as he could have had, but for Energetic, that means everything. An 18-point gap becomes a 5-point gap. What an epic final lap that was. Snake just had nothing left, and in the end has to settle for 4th place. in the rest of the order. Let's actually just go through all of that again. Energetic takes the win. Moksha in second. Quincy in third place. Pleasant Snake in fourth. Not even a podium. Race Chase in fifth. Trugster in sixth. Tark and Gino seventh. ADS eighth. Toby Lenzen in ninth. And 10th will eventually be to Brand there as he does a Tokyo drift across the line. 10-second penalty unserved, but doesn't matter because Skid Solo will come home 11th after a very impressive drive, in all honesty. As soon as I say that, he goes very wide at turn 17. But he's only got 3 seconds. Salvi is not even in that window, so he will come home 12th place. But either way, what a drive from Skid Solo that was. That is a good amount of points as well. 5 points going his way. 12th will be Salvi, Jamaican Jam 13th with Bruiser and Sir Ibo, rounding out your 14th and 15th, with 16th being the non-finisher of Rendog. But Herman, what a leap for Energetic from 18 points to 5 points.
Yeah, that was certainly one for the history books once again. SSL delivering on the end of the season, and you have to say that was just mismanaged by Snake, because that was the fuel mode kicking in at the end of that, and he was losing the exit power out of the 17th corner, and then he just got slowed down with Quincy going through just by the tiniest amount of margins. Not enough fuel at the end, and that didn't help him. He lost more points to Energetic and to Quincy, obviously, but that Energetic swing is going to be huge, and he's going to be that guy Snake needs to be watching out for, because they're now once again equal on wins and on countback. That would be very interesting, and we're going to be getting into one hell of a season finale in 7 days' time for the mystery GP as well.
Just to remind you of the results, top 5 is Energetic, Moksha, Quincy, Snake, and Race Chase. 6th to 10th is Trugster, Tark and Gino, ADS, Toby, and Tabran. Then 11th to 15th is Skid Solo, Salvi, Jamaican Jam, Bruiser, and Sir Ibo, your only non-finisher, Rendog. But now we will move on to post-race interviews with a classic race there in the SSRL universe. Herman, I think you've got one to look forward to. Take it away for the podium.
Yeah, we are going to be speaking for the 5th time inside of the season with Energetic, who just made a huge leap in terms of the championship, as we've just discussed. Energetic, this is your 5th win of the season from an outside chance after some troublesome races after that first win in Baku all the way at the start of the season. You have now clawed it back to what is, assuming as of right now, a 5-point gap to Snake. How are you feeling after this one? How do you pull this through? And are you the guy that can make it work at the end in 7 days' time for the mystery GP?
Yeah, I didn't know I was on pace. I was happy that Quincy was able to get past me on the opening lap, because I didn't have confidence to push at the limit. I needed Quincy to be my man to see the breaking points and stuff, and where it's breaking too late and stuff. So I'm my win to him today.
Obviously, there was a lot of team play going on, not between only your teammate inside of the qualifying session, but obviously, with just mentioned Quincy, there was a lot of times where you both were together, especially with coming in at the same time on the first pit stop, and then just the undercut where he just was slightly ahead, you pulled that back. That overall, you were trying to work together. There was basically no traffic you had to go through, so you were just trying to close in on the guys, and then it was obviously very troublesome to get by. How did you feel the dirty air, and obviously that double DRS on the guys that you in front of you that we were trying to pass made affect you? Do you feel like you had a great setup to make these passes under braking more on the straights? How was that looking from your side when approaching that terrain with like a couple of laps left still, but you needed to go through all of them, and then at the end you just pulled through because they couldn't keep up and the tires obviously were degrading? So how was that final stint for you there?
The final stint felt great because I had the feeling I had a lot more pace in those hards. Better than the mediums on the first stint. I was, I think, overheating them a little bit, because the dirty air was big time, and I was like scared for the first laps. But yeah, the hard field felt like really good, especially on the last stint. It was Just when we catched up to the guys in front, like the one stoppers, I was like, okay, I need to get past Quincy, otherwise he's going to get away from me. That's why I battled him a little bit hard. But I hope it was clean.
Yeah, I've just been informed about the provisional results. It's actually a 6-point gap with only the two teams at the front, with you and your teammate in Mercedes with Tarkin Jr. being 3 points behind. So also the Constructors' Championship can be decided depending on where you and Quincy are going to be finishing. If anything, what would be your preferred race if you can choose from the races we haven't done inside of this season that could be all available? What would you think is the one you would like to be drawn by Dave next week?
Let me pick the calendar first quickly. I'm sorry for not having that in front of me. Where is
But
it?
all good.
There it is. What were the? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the races
track-
that are not on there
Yeah.
are going to be the selection, basically.
Yeah. I was gonna say Singapore, but we raced already at that. Then it would be also no, Las Vegas is also gone. God, no, where are the good races? Yeah, Monaco.
Monaco, okay. That is obviously a very good answer. And we're going to be looking forward to see what can be happening. If anything, this was obviously a fight between the Season 6 championship fight that has been going on. You got an outside chance now. Is this, if you won't win it next week, still the most impressive season for yourself? Are you happy with how you performed, or would you say that these couple of races where you were not top 5 would come back and hurt you, or did you feel like you still did your best, you were just unlucky? How's the general feeling of this season so far for you after the first 11 races?
I'm excited about this season. I'm enjoying it a lot, and I'm happy that I stayed with myself to try to be consistent, even though I had bad races. I try to be consistent, and that's what my main goal is this season. Just stay consistent and have some battles.
All right, looking forward to what will be a 3-way championship fight in our Mystery GP, with you now in second position, and obviously that World's Contractors Championship as well at the end of it. Congrats again to you and your 5th win inside of the season, and speak to you in 7 days' time.
Yeah.
Good night.
I've just got to say one thing very quickly. Monaco is not in that selection, so gonna have to come up with another one.
I didn't know what track to be on that. To be honest, it was like a quick saying like that. I don't know what tracks are in the calendar. To be fair, so sorry.
Yeah, all good, all good. Gonna be surprised anyway, because it's gonna be random. Yeah, we're gonna be moving on to second position now, and that has been German Williams driver Moksha. Moksha, that was obviously a very good race for me as well. Executed on that one stopper was, I think, a lot of questions about it after also what we could seen from yesterday's D1 race. Anything that was for you particularly promising in terms of what you maybe have seen, what made you decide to go for that one set, and obviously how you experienced those last couple of laps when these guys from behind were closing in, and you just played a very important part, because now the gaps with your pass and Snake before you ran out of fuel was also very crucial for how much energetic now gained on the rest. So you're not in the championship fight yourself, but you were in this championship fight, if you know what I mean. So how was the race from your side, and how do you experience these final laps here today?
Oh, it was a really good race. I mean, I finally had a good quali result, so I could start from further in the front. And yeah, usually I have a good race pace, so I could stay with Snake a lot of the time. He was a bit faster, but the DRS straights always brought me back. So yeah, just try to follow it, and just try to not battle too much. When I saw Quincy and Energetic went for a two-stop, I saw it functioning yesterday with David. So yeah, I was a bit scared, and the mediums actually felt better yesterday. So they were a bit slower in the last couple of laps in the stint. And yeah, the hard stint was just surviving, not letting these guys on a two-stopper have an easy pass. So yeah, I tried to close the gaps where I could, and yeah, it kind of worked out. Also with Snake in the end running out of fuel, that was a big relief. And yeah, just really happy with this race.
Yeah, you have been looking to be continuously up in that fight for what has been a bit of best of the rest. We've continued to talk about what has been a very entertaining three-way championship fight throughout the season. What has been your main takeaway for what has now been 11 races? You've been obviously racing in both divisions, taking the learnings into Division 2, making the best out of, yet you seem to be struggling in some. Mostly, is that due to the qualifying? Do you think that could be turned around if there would be normal dry qualifying again, or is it just a general issue with how qualifying is for you at the moment?
I'm not sure if I really would be better positioned in the dry qualifying. I mean, I struggle with quali a lot. I always mess up the last laps, so yeah, that's always not good. Even worse in the rain qualies. So yeah, maybe I could start 1 or 2 positions further up, but yeah, not too much. So I think Miami is a track which really suits me, and I really like it. So I think that was a big plus and brought a good result in.
Yeah, you're still in a fight with Race Chase, 4 points between you and the American driver, who was also in the top 5 for today. If you could choose, obviously, I'm gonna give you this question as well. What would your preferred track be? Keep in mind, most of the tracks we are gonna be seeing at the start of the 2026 season, for example, Australia or Saudi or whatever. So yeah, most of these tracks are gonna be in the lineup. Anything that you could wish for, say it now.
I would go for Hungary because I really like this track. I mean, it's hard to overtake, but yeah, I had some good results there, and I really like this track and flow. So hopefully it's Hungary, or I wouldn't even complain if it's Monza, or I don't know if we driven Australia. I think we did. I know, no, we didn't. So yeah, that would
No.
also be a possibility.
Okay, Angry, also very interesting on strategy as we've just seen for today. Congrats again on your second position and best of luck for that fight for fourth position against Race Chase next week, and speak to you maybe again on the podium in 7 days' time. Good night.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening to you all.
And we are moving to what has been a very fierce fought third place for Quincy. That was obviously once again a very much interesting question of what the tire strategy was looking like for tonight, as you experienced some of it yesterday as well. How was that for you tonight? And did you think that after finishing in third now, it was still a better strategy, or do you feel like there was anything to do with how the fights at the end with the train was just not improving the chances of getting by? Do you think the tire advantages maybe went away there with too much fighting going on? Obviously, energetic, keen to get by as soon as you approach the train. How was that tire strategy looking for you today after some experiences yesterday? And obviously, a point of view from insight from you, point of view on that final couple of laps and that fighting going on with the guys in front.
The tire strategy was fine. The grip was fine. It felt good. I knew I had the race under control. Felt I had the race under control, and it is what it is. I got, and that's all. Congratulations to the winner.
There's obviously one part where you were trying to get away at the second stop, then couldn't really extract. How was the energy looking for you? Do you feel like Energetic had a particularly advantage on the straights, or do you just trying to maximize exits and keep conserving that ERS inside of the slow bits, or was the overall pace just very equal? So trying to get away from the guy like Energetic was just too hard to manage today.
Energetic had it easy today. All he had to do was follow me, follow my strategy, and follow my general line and whatever, and wait for his moment to pounce, and he did. So congrats to him.
There's now obviously another fight heating up. Not are you only involved in a three-way fight with now being 13 points behind, but also that the constructors championship 3 points ahead. So every position could make a difference. Anything that could maybe help you going into this final attempt with like your teammate, maybe not trying to get him 10 second speeding in the pit lane. Is there some fight left in you to make sure that you could secure the constructors to make sure that is yours at the end of the season as well, as you've been mostly leading it throughout the season?
Nah, no more fight left in me, mate. I think after today, it's done. I mean, Gino and Energetic are quite a strong team to beat on their worst day, so I think it'll probably go to them. And obviously, I've just lost the drivers as well, so yeah, I think all fights done. Just gonna enjoy the last race. Hopefully, I get on the podium to get to speak to you, lovely guys, one last time, and yeah, just go from there. Thanks for your time.
Obviously, the question obviously to you as well. Preferred track you would like to see out of the selection we would have up for next week's mystery GP?
I think probably Hungary. Like Moksha said, it's a great track. It's built on strategy rather than barging your way past on overtakes and stuff. So yeah, I'd probably look forward to Hungary, hopefully.
And that obviously will also be in full wet qualifying, I assume.
Yes, the full
Yeah,
wets
that is
will
good.
still remain. Yeah.
All right. I'm looking forward to what can be happen around the the constructors championship. If there's like you've seen this league before, like there can so many things can happen. I've experienced this myself on the second to final lap. So yeah, don't put your head in the sand. And congratulations again on P3. Looking forward to speak to you at the end of next week's race, and would like to head it off now to Dave to give us a brief final thoughts, because I certainly need a laying down after that. It was so intense most of the time. Enjoyed that race so much. There was no intervention by safety car. We stared so many great battles throughout the field. Tire strategy came in. I love how the game obviously has made that correct over the couple of last years, how tire allocation is scaled down compared to usually 100% races from the real life. So what is your closing thought here on tonight's Miami Grand Prix as we kick this season off into a finale with 3 drivers still able to take this?
Well, obviously Energetic with the biggest pull of them all, a win, Pleasant Lake 4th. So as we so far we know, it is a 5-point gap for Energetic going into tomorrow night. So to me, Pleasant Lake still remains the favourite, but Energetic has certainly put the cards in there. I don't even want to discount Quincy at the moment because, you know, he's got a 13-point gap. That's enough for anything to happen, you know. Even if, let's say he gets fastest lap, you know, that's a 13-point gap right there. But of course, as the wins would fall to Pleasant Lake or Energetic, then they would get that. But obviously, you just never know, you know, Pleasant Lake could have another Qatar, you know, Energetic could have, like, you know, his own, like, you know, first half of the season. You know, he was an outsider for the longest time, and it's not until the second half of the season where it all kind of fruitioned into the run of form we are seeing from him now. So I don't really know which way it's going to go until we're on that final lap of that fated Mystery Grand Prix, wherever that may be. Of course, just to remind you all, that is going to be right here live within the hour before we get started. So remember, we always start at around 7:30 p.m. GMT, but of course we'll go live a little earlier to make sure that Mystery Grand Prix wheel is spun just before we get started. But otherwise, that is it. We have got a 3-way championship for Division 2, but of course, Herman, you've got your own championship fight for Division 2 next week. Of course, a 13-point gap to rush the series going into next week. You've got your own thing to look forward to, so I'm going to leave you and go and get that prepared, and we'll see you in Division 1 and 2 next week, Herman.
Until next week, have a great rest of the evening and take care. Bye.
Bye-bye. And with that, we conclude an exciting round of SSRL Division 2 tonight. Of course, Division 1 is always on the Monday, but if you enjoyed that, please do subscribe to the YouTube channel to make sure you are notified of when the VODs go live, and of course, when I go live as well. Follow GDave11 for the finale, twitch.tv/GDave11. Obviously, one more round to crown it all, including the Constructors and the Drivers' Championship. It is all said and done after next week. And of course, that will bring to an end my own commentating with the Silly Season Racing League. From Season 3 to Season 7, I have brought you the action exclusively. And next week will be my final one. At the end of Division 1, Division 1's race, we will announce who the commentator will be for your continuation going into 2026. And we'll see what happens. But otherwise, yeah, there's not really much more for me to say. 5 points between Snake and Energetic, 13 points between Snake and Quincy. It's all to play for going into next week. From wherever you may be in the world, we wish you a very good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. Stay safe, stay alive, look after your mental health. And from everybody who watches, from ourselves as well at SSRL, thank you to the admins, the stewards, the owners, and the drivers for putting on this show every week. Bye-bye for now.